rules, the rules will be checked from top to bottom. If there is no match, the packet will be dropped actually. Okay, so let's go further. And we have two types of rules. That is, one is implicit rules and another one is explicit rules. Here, implicit rules is creating by vendor itself for some common applications. But in case of explicit rules are the rules which are creating by the network administrator for administration purpose, I can say. So as per the requirement, like network administrator is creating the explicit rule, but in case of implicit, it is coming from the vendor itself directly. Okay, so these are the necessary information, like basic information I can say with respect to a specific firewall rule. We need to have a source IP address, destination IP address, service, action. Action means is I say allow or deny. Okay, next track, like mean if you want to enable the log option or not. Okay, and installation is a firewall. Okay, and time and the comments. So these are the basic and necessary information which we require to enable the firewall rule. Okay, and so like as I mentioned, we'll be having a list of rules like 1 2 3 4 5. So first it will check from first rule. If it matches, then it will take the action and it will go further. If not, it will go to second rule. Like that, it go until it matches. If it isn't matching, in the last we'll be having some cleanup rule. Okay, so the traffic will go through the rule and it will drop the packet. Okay, this is the rule information. Okay, so we have two kinds of rules called, one is stealth rule and another one is cleanup rule. Okay, so these two rules plays a important role in the important role while handling the traffic, I can say. So here we have stealth rule and the cleanup rule. Okay, so stealth rule is the rule which protects the firewall gateway itself from unauthorized access, and we have to place this rule in the top of the rule base. Okay, and the cleanup rule, it is to drop the traffic whatever it is not matching from top to bottom. Okay, so like so, so here what we have to do, if as per the requirements whatever we are getting from the users and someone else. Okay, so here we have to enable the rules between stealth rule and cleanup rule. Okay, so whatever the rules we are writing in the firewall, it's in between stealth rule and cleanup rule. Okay, so we can say stealth rule and cleanup rule are the one which are handling the more I mean, like they play a very important role while handling the traffic. Stealth will protect the firewall, cleanup will drop the traffic which is not matching from top to bottom. So we'll sandwich the rules, whatever is required for the organization between stealth rule and cleanup rule. Okay, so this is the stealth rule. So stealth rule protects the gateway itself. So source has any, destination has the gateway IP address or the firewall IP address, and service is any action, it should be dropping because we want to prevent access from unauthorized users, right? So we have to keep action as drop and remaining like this. Okay, so here, like whoever want to access the gateway, then we can rule, we can write a rule on top of the stealth rule stating that some Harsha want to access the gateway. So gateway IP address, we will allow this rule. On top of this, if anyone is trying to access apart from Harsha, then it will drop the packet. Okay, so this is about a stealth rule. And next one is cleanup rule. So cleanup rule is nothing but by default, like if anything not allowed explicitly in the firewall database, it will drop automatically. Okay, by using cleanup rule. Okay, so here we have two types of cleanup rules. One is implicit cleanup rule and another one is explicit cleanup rule. So implicit cleanup rule is the rule, okay, so which is providing by vendor itself. Okay, and here it will drop the traffic, entire traffic, whatever it is not matching from top to bottom. But however, having said that, the log option is not enabled. So I said one option, right? Track. So in the track, log option is not enabled. Okay, so what happened, though the traffic is dropping in the firewall, but we won't be able to see that. If we want to see what is the traffic it is dropping from the firewall end, okay, we need to go with an explicit cleanup rule. So explicit is standing for, it is manually creating by network administrator, but in case of implicit, it is providing by vendor itself directly. Okay, this is about a cleanup rule. So far clear. So here if
Yeah,
you can
clear.
see,
Yeah, clear.
yeah, implicit cleanup rule, log option is not enabled, but in case of explicit cleanup rule, log option is enabled. Okay, So let's go further with a new concept today, that is checkpoint packet flow. Okay, so what is the checkpoint packet flow? Let me tell you here. So suppose we have a firewall. Okay, if the traffic is entering into the firewall, okay, what and all it will check to allow or deny the traffic. Okay, what and all it will check and how it go further. Okay, so packet flow is nothing but once the traffic or the packet entering into checkpoint firewall, what and all it will check. Okay, and with respect to all these things, like what the action it has to take, either allow or deny, it will take further. Okay, so let's see one by one, like what and all this firewall will check once the traffic enter into the firewall, I can say. Okay, first, I'll explain about one by one. Just keep it in mind that these are the uh, list of things which checkpoint it goes through. Okay, once the packet entering into firewall, first it will check the SAM database. So what is SAM database? It is suspicious activity management. Some database is nothing but suspicious activity management database. Okay, I'll explain in detail about what is suspicious activity management in the coming slides. Okay, so here, as soon as the traffic entering into a firewall, first it checks SAM database. Okay, then it will come to anti-spoofing check. So it like it's kind of checking, I can say. First it will check SAM database check, and then it will check anti-spoofing check, then session lookup, then policy lookup, like that it go further. So once anti-spoofing check is done, okay, then if it is action is passed, then it will go for session lookup. If session is available or not, it will check here. If session is not available, this policy lookup will be bypassed and it will come to destination NAT. Okay, if session lookup is not available, okay, if session lookup is not available, then from anti-spoofing it will come to policy lookup. If policy lookup is nothing but it's a set of rule base. Okay, whatever the rules we are defining in the firewall, that is called policy. Lookup means it's a viewing. Okay, then it will check for destination NAT, then routing table, source NAT, VPN, and content inspection. Okay, so we'll discuss about one by one in detail. Okay, is it clear?
Yeah, clear, Harsha.
Okay, so here, the first one, what it is here? Let me clear these things. Yeah. So first one is SAM database, right? We'll check the SAM database. So SAM, it stands for Suspicious Activity Management. Okay. So what it does? Suppose we have a firewall. Okay. So we have a firewall, and like what we wrote, we wrote some rules, like 1 to 10 rules we wrote in the firewall. Okay, so as per the requirements we wrote some firewall rules. Okay, so what's happening, the traffic is going fine and no issues. Okay, suddenly someone is trying to do something from our firewall. Okay, so we can see some huge traffic, and something is going on, something is fishy. Okay, so at that point of time what we have to do? Okay, so we have some option. 1 second. Yeah, so here what happened, so we have some firewall rules and the traffic is going fine. Okay, so if you want to how the gateway is working, we have smart console application, management server, and gateway. Okay, so we are writing the rules in by using smart console and it's saving in the management server, and we are installing the policy, then only the rules are applicable, right? Okay, so here someone is trying to access something else. Okay, without it's a kind of attack is happening. Consider it some attack is happening. Okay, we want to block the traffic. Okay, so at the point of time what we have to do, we have to write an ACL and we have to install the policies, right? Is it correct?
Yeah, Harsha.
So we have to write some rule to block the traffic whatever it is coming from the attacker, and we have to install the policies. Okay, but it will take some time, right? It will take some time, no, to to get approvals to block the traffic. and we want to enable the firewall rule here, and we want to push the configuration also. It will take some time. So to avoid that, what happened, we have some option called SAM database. Okay, so here we will allow what is the source IP, whatever the information we have, no, source IP, destination IP, port number, and action. Okay, so here we will allow some rules. It's also kind of rules. Okay, rules stating that how much time it has to be active. Okay, so action, it is a drop here, right? So till how much time we have to drop these connections. Okay, so before, actually we have to install the policies. Okay, but if you write the rules in the SAM database, no need of installing the policies. Okay, directly it will be applicable. Clear? SAM database is nothing but suspicious activity management. So is this is also a database of source, destination, and ports. Okay, but the difference is, okay, so if you write a normal firewall rule, we have to install the policy. But if you write a rule in the SAM database, no need of installing the policy. It will be directly applicable to the firewall. Okay.
Okay, Harsha.
So what happened? Let me tell you here. Okay. So what happened? So some intruder or attacker is trying to access. Okay. First, it will check the SAM database itself without checking any other things. First, it will check the SAM database. Okay. So we have blocked something here saying that something is phishing. Okay, it's some attacker traffic, so it is drop. It won't check further. Okay, so this is what it happens in the SAM database. Okay, that too. So that too here what happening? So we are giving some specific limitation, some 30 minutes or 1 hour or 2 days or something. After 2 days, the rule will be disabled here. The rule will be deleted automatically. Okay, so SAM database is nothing but suspicious activity management database. If you want to block any traffic without allowing a firewall rule manually and installing the policies, we'll write some rule in the SAM database. Okay, so what happened? It will check for the source destination port and it will take the action as a drop. Okay, and we write some time limit also here. Okay, so after the time limit, the rule will be deleted automatically. This is about SAM database. Clear?
Yeah, clear, Harsha.
Yeah. So next one is anti-spoofing. Let me tell you what is anti-spoofing. So is anti-spoofing is a check, it's a feature of checkpoint. Okay. So what happened? Which protects the traffic, which protects from the attacker who is generating with the fake IP address, I can say. Okay. So let me tell you what is the fake IP address. So here you have a firewall. Okay. So there is some interfaces. It should be there, right? So there are some interfaces. Okay, for this interface, we have assigned some IP addresses, or this interface address is connected with some subnet called 10.0.0.0/24 subnet. Okay, so what happened here? From this interface, we have configured only this. Okay, but if someone is coming to this interface with some other IP address, that is 10.1, consider the 10.1.1.1 something. Okay, but it is not configured here, right? Okay, so what happened? So it will check that and it will prevent the traffic. Okay, so anti-spoofing is a feature of checkpoint firewall. Okay, that is fine, but what it is doing, it is protecting that from attacker who is coming with a fake IP address. Okay, so here if you can see, the traffic is coming to the same interface but it's not configured here, right? So it consider it's a spoof IP address. You got my point?
Yeah, Harsha.
See,
Yeah. Attacker is attacking by using different IP address, which is not mentioned in the firewall already.
yeah, yeah, the same thing I can say. So for this interface, we have configured only this subnet. Okay, but however, having said that, some user, not only attacker, some user is coming to same interface, but which is not configured here. Okay, so
Okay.
it consider that it's some fake IP address or spoof IP address. Then it will drop the connections. Okay,
Spoof IP address means it's in other words, it is fake IP address.
exactly, fake or spoof IP address.
Okay, okay.
Like, how to check all these things, I'll explain you later. But for now, just keep it in mind that anti-spoofing is nothing but it's a feature of checkpoint firewall which protects from attacker who is coming with the fake or spoof IP address. That's it.
Okay, Harsha.
So here, like I mean, anti-spoofing determines whether a traffic is legitimate or not. Okay. So here, for this interface, okay, if you have, n number of subnets connected to it, okay, we'll write some object group. Okay. So we'll define what and all the subnets it has to allow. Okay. So if we add the subnet in the object group or the anti-spoofing group, then it will take the action accordingly. Okay. If it is not if it is not added here, then it will, consider that it's not legitimate and it blocks the traffic. Okay. So let me one sec. Yeah. So if you can simplify, this is the firewall. Okay. So this is one interface. Okay. So here we have configured some anti-spoofing group. Okay. So here we list down the IP addresses what and all need to be allowed through this interface. Okay. Some some subnets some subnet we have allowed here. Okay. So whatever the traffic it is coming to this interface with these subnets, then only it will allow. If not, it will block, saying that the traffic is coming from some intruder. It is spoof IP address, so it will block the traffic. Okay. If we allow here, it consider it's a legitimate. Okay. So if it legitimate means then it will allow. If not, it will drop the traffic. Is it clear for anti-spoofing?
Yeah, clear, Harsha.
Yeah. Next one is session lookup. So what is session lookup? Before going to session lookup, let's go with policy lookup. Okay. So policy lookup is nothing but it's a set of firewall rules. Okay. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, something like some set of firewall rules. Okay. So what happened, like, if consider is a new connection. Okay. If a new connection, first it will check the SAM database, then it will check for anti-spoofing. Okay. Then session lookup. Session means if the traffic is already coming through, then only session will be created. Okay. So it will be bypassed for the new connection. Okay. Consider that for a new connection, session table, it won't be there. Okay. So it will come through policy lookup. Policy lookup. Okay. So here what happened? It will check from top to bottom, like with regards to source, destination, port, and action. So we have some set of things, right, in the firewall rule. Okay. So the traffic is going through the rule. Okay. So then what happened? It will save into one database called session database. We used to call it some cache, right? If you remember. This is
Yeah,
normal word, generic word. Okay. So it will save these connections in some cache table, I can say. Okay. So what happened if some traffic is coming with a source, destination, port information, and something it is okay. Then so then what it will do? It will store this information in cache, stating that we can call it as a session table. Okay. So if you remember, so we can say once the traffic is coming for the first time, it will check the policy lookup. If it is matching or not matching to the rule base, it will drop in the cleanup rule, right? So whatever the thing it is, if the traffic is going through firewall for the first time, then it will save that connections in the session table for a while. Okay. So that is called session table. Okay. Yeah, let's go further. Okay. So here session table is nothing but, so whatever the active connections which is going through firewall, it will be saved here. Okay. So next time what happened? Okay, for the first connectivity, it is bypassing the session lookup and it is coming to policy. If the traffic is coming to the second time, okay, not the first time it is, okay, then it will check in the session lookup itself, because we have some active traffic which is saved in the session lookup, right? So it will check the session lookup, okay, then it will go further. It won't check the policy lookup for the second time, okay. So like that it will continuous, okay, for a while. But however, if session time is out, timeout is happened, okay, so it will erase the data available in the session table, Then again, it considers as a new connectivity and it will check the policy lookup. Clear?
Yeah, clear, Harsha.
Yeah. So for starting from SAM database, anti-spoofing, session table, and policy lookup. Okay. After checking all these things, then it will check for destination NAT. Okay. So in a rule, we'll be having some information, right? Source IP, destination IP, port, and action, right? So here, if our destination if for the destination IP, whatever it is there, if any NAT configured with the destination IP, it will check. So if any NAT configured for this, then it will perform the NAT and it will go further. Okay. So what is a destination NAT? I'll tell you here, and as an example. Okay. Okay. So here, it's your company. Okay, your company is hosting some application, for the internet users. Consider that some HDFC it is. Okay, so HDFC is a banking sector. However, we have some access, right, for internet banking. Okay, internet banking. So, so here, HDFC having some internet banking and they have some server here. Okay, some application. So what happened? They are using some firewall here. Okay, so inside network, it is having private IP address only. 10.1.1.1 is assigned. Okay, but however, having said that, this private IP can't be accessible over the internet, right? So what happened? That they will NAT here. Okay, they'll perform NAT. I'll tell you like what is this NAT. Okay, so here like we have some users like we. Okay, so some users I can say. Okay, so I'm having net banking access of HDFC, so I'm trying to access HDFC net banking. I'm trying from the Google. Okay, so then what happened? However, if type HDFC net banking internally with the DNS, it will resolve to some IP address, right? You got my point? So whatever we are typing or trying to access from the google.com or any browser, okay, by the name, but internally it is the name will be resolving to some IP address that is called DNS, domain name system. We discussed in the earlier classes. Okay, so this HDFC net banking is assigned some public IP address because it has to be available for the internet users. Okay, so consider that like the HDFC.com HDFC net banking is assigned with some public IP address called like 12.1.1.1. Okay, so my IP address is something. Okay, here I mean, internally, like when I connected to Wi-Fi, my IP address is 192.168.1.1. But when what I'm trying to access a service which is available in the internet. Okay, so then what happened? My private IP address will be natted with some IP address, right? Like a Wi-Fi address, Wi-Fi public IP address. So consider that my public IP address is 1.1.1.1. 2.1.1.1, 2.2.2.2, because all ones they know. So let's don't make confuse. So my private IP address is this, but what I'm trying to access, internet website I'm trying to access. So as my private IP address is not accessible over the internet, so my IP address is changing to 2.2.2.2 with the Wi-Fi public IP address. Okay, so then it has to trying to access 12.1.1.1. So here like 12.1.1.1 is there because it's a HDFC IP address, right? So my traffic is coming here. Okay, and here firewall is there, right? So if it want to allow our connectivity, we have to write some rule here. Okay, so what is source? 2.2, the traffic what is whatever it is hitting to the firewall. So that is source is 2.2.2.2. So what is the destination we are trying to access? That is hdfc.com HDFC net banking IP address, that is 12.1.1.1. On which port we are trying to access? Like consider that it's a web application, right? So we can say it's a HTTPS port. Okay, action allow. So far clear? So here we are trying to access a website which is available for the internet. Okay, and we are trying to access, it's assigned some public IP address because it should be accessible over the internet. Okay, so then from user perspective, they are assigned with some private IP addresses, and if they want to access any internet, okay, so their source IP address or private IP address will be mapped with some public IP address by the Wi-Fi router. So the traffic is initiating between the source IP is this and destination IP is this. Okay, so once the traffic is hitting the HDFC bank firewall, okay, so it will be with source IP address is this and destination IP is this. Okay, so but we want to access, right? So they have to allow our connectivity. Okay, so source IP they will write as 2.2.2 and destination IP as 12.1.1.1 and port is HTTPS and they are allowing the traffic. Okay, so we come up, we enter into the firewall. But however, internally the application is hosted with 10.1.1.1. Okay, so then what happened? This 12.1.1.1 IP address, if we have to convert it to 10.1.1.1. Okay, so what we have to do to convert from one IP to another IP address, we have to perform NAT there, network address translation. Okay, so this is the normal firewall rule, and we have to write some NAT rule also. NAT rule is nothing but, so convert this 12.1.1.1 destination IP address to 10.1.1.1. This is the public IP address. This is the private IP address. So here destination, this is the destination, right? This is the source and this is the destination. Performing NAT to the destination is called destination NAT. Is it clear?
Yeah, clear, Harsha.
Okay. So performing NAT to the, like it will check if any NAT configured for the destination IP address, then it will, what I can say, then it will perform the NAT and it will go further. Okay, so again we'll have, like while writing, while practical sessions, I will show you, like how we are configuring destination NAT. Okay, for now, like we have, I need you to understand. Okay, so what is destination NAT and in which cases we perform destination NAT. Okay,
Yeah, Harsha.
so first it will check, SAM database, anti-spoofing, session lookup, policy lookup, and destination NAT. If destination NAT is not available, okay, if internal to internal communication, then it will bypass this, that's it. If it is configured, then it will check it. Okay, if not, it will bypass it. Okay, next, route lookup. So I know, like our firewall is there. Okay, so the traffic is coming from somewhere. Okay, and so it is checking the connectivity and it is allowing the traffic, but we need to, input some information to the firewall setting that after your work, forward the traffic to something somewhere, right? Got my point?
Yeah, Harsha.
Let me tell you. Server, some user is there. Okay, so user is trying to access this server. Okay, so he's having some IP address, server also having some IP address. Okay, so user came to our firewall and we have allowed the connection. Okay, so then our firewall should be having some information stating that where it has to forward the traffic. My work is done, and I have to, I know, like my work is done. I have to, give this work to some other to transfer the traffic to server. Okay, so that's why we have routing lookup, routing table coming into picture. Routing table. Okay, so like it's similar to, like the router routing table. Okay, in router what happening? So it has to transfer the traffic to next hop, right? So in the similar fashion from the firewall also, once the firewall work is done, it has to transfer the packet to next device. Okay, so we'll write the information about the next device. Okay, so it want to reach the server, right? Okay, we'll write saying that if destination IP is this, you have to go through this router. Okay, so let's see, like a small example. Yeah. Yeah, let's see. Okay, we have a firewall here. Okay, we have users. Once you consider it's a users. So these users are they're having some information, like routers are there. Okay, it is connected to, consider that some Windows servers it is. Windows servers. Okay, and we have some router. It is connected to some others, and Linux servers are there. Okay, and we have internet connectivity. Okay, so here when let's give something. Okay, user subnet is 10.1.1.0/24 subnet. Okay, for Windows give something 10.0.0.0/24. Okay, for Linux let's give something 10.5.0.0/24. On internet we don't know the IP addresses. Okay, so here if users are trying to access Windows servers, okay, so what we have to do in the firewall, first thing we have to write a firewall rule. Okay, so source is destination and port. Source is what it is, 10.1.1. This is the subnet. Okay, and destination is Windows server subnet. Okay, just I'm mentioning the name, but we have to provide the IP address here. Okay, so Windows server subnet is 10.0.0/24. Okay, and port something, some port like they are trying to add 22 port. Okay, now so we have allowed the traffic from the user is trying to access the Windows server, and it come to our firewall. So firewall, what we wrote some rules stating that allow the traffic. Okay, then it has to reach the destination, right? So in the firewall we have to write information stating that if any user is trying to access the destination subnet, that is Windows server, okay, that is 10.0.0.0/24, forward the traffic to here. Consider that here also we assign some IP addresses. Okay, for router interface also. Consider that we write some interface called I know like 10 dot something 2.2.2. Okay, so forward the traffic to 10.2.2.2. Okay, so here if user is trying to access Windows servers, okay, we wrote the firewall rule with the source destination port information. It is allowed the traffic. Okay, and it has to reach the Windows server, right? So then we have to write routing information in the firewall. Okay, so here the destination subnet is 10.0.0.0/24 network, and if you want to reach here, first we have to reach here. Okay, then here, then it will reach the Windows server. Okay, so we'll write some information saying that once our work is done, forward the traffic to this interface. Okay, by here firewall work is done, then router also we have to write some routing tables to reach the destination. It's not our work, but our main work is from firewall we have to transfer the traffic to some other place. So that's what routing lookup help us. Clear?
Yeah, clear, Harsha.
Yeah,
User when user want to reach the server, we have to give the source, destination, and port address,
in the
so that
firewall rule.
firewall
Firewall rule.
in firewall we have to write the source, destination, and port to, and so that it can transfer the user to
See,
server.
see, I'll tell you. We are writing source destination port to specify whether to allow the traffic or deny the traffic. That's it. Okay. So in the firewall, we are writing rules stating that to allow or deny the traffic. Okay. If it is allowed, okay. If it is allowed, then it has to forward the traffic to next hop. Okay. So, see, like you are driving from like Bangalore to Hyderabad. Okay. Consider that it's a firewall is a toll gate. Okay, so in the toll gate, if you have some application or if you pay the fee, it means they will allow. If not, they won't allow, right? Okay,
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
so consider that like in the allow means if they in the toll gate you are paying the fee, but in case of firewall, where allowing the connectivity. So whatever, once we allow, directly we are not reaching Hyderabad, right? You are going to some Anantapur, some places. Via you are going something, right? You got my point.
Yeah, Harsha, understood.
See, like once you know, like started from source, you want to reach destination. Okay. So here some, like in this place, they will judge you to allow or stop you there itself. Okay. So once they will allow, you can't reach the destination directly. You have to move to some place, then then finally you reach the destination. In the similar fashion, in the firewall also, between source and destination, from the firewall, okay, the acceptance criteria to allow or deny the traffic is based on the firewall rules what we are creating. Okay, once the firewall rule states is allow the traffic, then it has to reach some place to move to reach the destination. So to reach that place, we have to write some route that is called routing table.
Okay, Harsha.
Okay, then source NAT. So here if you can observe, okay, suppose users are there here, no, here also some firewall is there.
Sorry, Harsha. Hello.
Yeah,
Hello.
yeah,
Yeah, we have to write that routing table
firewall.
in the, in the firewall itself.
Yeah, firewall itself.
Okay.
See, I mean, once the traffic is reached to router, then in the router also, like if whoever is managing this router, they have to raise routing table again.
Okay.
So here,
Okay.
whatever I'm referring to, the routing lookup, it's in the firewall only, not in other places.
Okay, Harsha. Policies and routing table both are in the firewall.
Exactly, exactly.
Okay, first it allow by checking the policies and
Yeah, that's
uh,
what See, if you can observe here, first it is check. I mean, this is the like packet flow in checkpoint. It checks from one by one. It won't bypass anything. So here first it is checking the policy lookup. It means the set of firewall rules. Then it is checking the routing table.
okay, Harsha. Okay.
Okay, so here source NAT. Okay, so source NAT is nothing but if you can observe here. Okay, if users are trying to access internet, right? So if you have a firewall here, consider that it's some organization it is. Okay, so here they want to try to access internet. What happened? This source IP address is NATing with some other IP address, right? That is called source NAT. Okay, so here it will check source NAT if they're trying to access internet. Okay, so source is NATing with some other IP address. Okay, that is called source NAT. Okay, so if source NAT is configured, then source NAT is like no. In this case, if you can see, the actual user IP address is 192.168.1.1. Okay, if source NAT is happening 2.2.2, so it will convert this IP address to this one. Okay, this is about source NAT and VPN. So what VPN stands for, like virtual private network. Like it's a huge concept. I can say I'll explain you later on. But like if any, if you remember, like when we are discussing about WAN connections, we'll be having VPN also, like one of the type. Okay, so VPN when we'll establish. Okay, so if suppose Bangalore and Hyderabad, if you want to make establish connectivity between two locations, okay, it should be in the like different regions and the same region. Okay, if you want to establish the connectivity, we will go for VPN concept also, virtual private network. Okay, so if the traffic is like we have one firewall here on the Bangalore and Hyderabad also we have some other firewall. Okay, so if the traffic is going through VPN tunnel, then it will check some parameters, then it will go further. Okay, so keep it in mind that after source NAT, if any VPN is configured for the specific interface, whatever the traffic it is going out, then it will perform the VPN lookup also. I'll explain you about what is VPN, all these things. For now, just keep it in mind that once after like source NAT, it will check if VPN is configured, then it will check the VPN. If not, it will go further. Okay, and then last one is content inspection. So content inspection is nothing but like when the traffic is user is trying to access internet. Okay, so here it is coming here. Okay, so based on the source destination port, it is going further. But what he's trying to access inside the packet, if he's trying to transfer something, okay, it will check inside the box also. inside the packet also, like what type of data he's transferring. If any malicious or something is there, it will drop there itself. So here content inspection is based on IPS policies. IPS stands for intrusion prevention system. I'll explain about later on. First, you need to remember just content inspection is happening. That's it. Content means whatever is there in the traffic or the packet, data traffic, I can say, it will check that. Okay, so let's go with some small recap of like packet flow. So first it will check the SAM database. Then so one second, yeah. First it will check the SAM database. SAM means suspicious activity management. Then it will check anti-spoofing. Then session lookup. For the first new traffic, session lookup it won't be there, so it will be bypassed. Okay, so for the existing connectivity, if it is coming, then it will check the session lookup. Then policy means it's a list of firewall rules. Then destination NAT. If any NAT configuration is there for the destination IP address, then destination NAT will be performed. If destination NAT is not configured for the destination IP address, then it will be bypassed. Okay, so just keep it in mind. If it is available, then it will check. If not, it will bypass. Okay, then routing table, then source NAT, VPN, and this one. Okay, so it will check step by step. Okay, it won't bypass anything. It will check step by step. Okay, so I mean, it won't check session lookup first and then policy lookup. First, it won't check routing table, then something. Okay, it has to check from top to bottom, whatever the topics I have mentioned here. This is about checkpoint packet flow. Okay, any doubts?
No.
Okay,
Session
the,
lookup and
one second.
destination
Yeah, yeah, tell me.
and destination not, if they are present, it will uh, flow in
Yes,
that. Otherwise, it will bypass that one. No?
exactly.
Remaining things we have
See,
to.
it should be mandatory, right? I mean, let me stop. Let me tell you. Okay, just give me a minute.
Okay.
I mean, I'm stopping the recording. That's all for today.
Okay. Okay.